All right, so moving to other unrest, at least 5 people have been killed in violence between Kenyan police and supporters of opposition leader Raila Odinga. This happened as the police tried to disperse supporters welcoming Odinga on his return trip from the United States. Well, police fired tear gas and used water cannon at the convoy to try and stop it from reaching the capital's main business district. Protesters fought back with rocks. There's been no response from the Kenyan police so far. Odinga has called for a national resistance movement to protest against the outcome of a repeat presidential election last month. The election saw President Uhuru Kenyatta win a second 5-year term with 98% of the vote after Odinga boycotted the contest. Only 39% of registered voters took part in the second round elections. Well, for more on that situation in Kenya is our reporter Sarah Kimani. Sarah, we've just seen some disturbing scenes that you've sent from Kenya. Take us through what happened today.
Well, people woke up, Odinga supporters woke up very early. We understand that Odinga was supposed to land at 11 o'clock, 11 in the morning. He landed just after 11 o'clock. And all those people who had tried to access the airport to welcome him, as they had been told by their lawmakers, were not able to access the airport because police said it is a high security zone. And so they were blocked further away from the airport. And they tried to force their way. And when Odinga left the airport, thousands and thousands of people then started following his convoy, shouting his nickname Baba, saying welcome home Baba. But police severally fired tear gas into the crowd, sometimes causing serious stampedes because traffic was huge. Sometimes spraying water cannons on the protesters and the supporters of Odinga. And it was quite some disturbing scenes, I must say. In some cases, they also used live bullets, and we saw the SABC camera person, Johnson, was able to film at least 3 people who were shot and seriously injured by police. We now understand that at least 5 of them have been reported dead from the day-long clashes.
What have the authorities cited as their concern about this entourage that was taking place? Because clearly it probably wasn't a planned march in the sense that you go and apply to authorities and say we're going to march. It seemed to have grown organically following this motorcade.
Yes, what happened is that when the opposition members of parliament said that there was going to be a huge welcoming party for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who is the current opposition leader, the police said that the equivalent of matrix examinations ongoing, and so they do not want any protest that will disturb students who are going up the examinations. But the opposition was saying, we are not going to any schools. We will be walking and welcoming Odinga to the streets of Nairobi into Uhuru Park, one of the main stadiums here, where he was expected to address a public rally. But the police insisted that no meetings were going to be authorized. And so that is how it ended up being very confrontational between the police and Odinga supporters.
How did we get to a point where police and military, it looks like, were throwing stones at moving vehicles?
Well, not the military, it's the paramilitary force. But what happened is that once if you've seen the footage, the police tried to repulse the protesters using tear gas, fire in the air, spraying them with the water cannons. The opposition leaders would lock themselves inside the vehicles, and the police would continue spraying their vehicles with the water, and the opposition supporters would then advance and storm these huge police trucks, and the police would be forced to retreat. So at one point, because the opposition supporters had really pelted them with a lot of rocks, I think the police realized these people are not fearing the tear gas, they are not fearing the water. In fact, a lot of those we interviewed said we are going to march despite the tear gas. And so the police now resorted to actually using the rocks to pelt assault and repulse the opposition supporters, people who are very experienced in stone throwing. And so it turned out now to be the police. They throw the stones, the opposition protesters, supporters throw stones back then. And that continued for some time. In fact, Odinga's vehicle has been shown having been hit with, whether it is by a tear gas canister, a bullet, or by the police or the supporters of Odinga who are pelting each other with stones.
With 5 fatalities, have the police reacted and said anything so far?
Yes, indeed, it's the police that gave that figure of 5, but they are saying that those who died were killed by mobs as they were trying to loot shops around the areas that they were passing, saying that they were not at the areas where they were lynched by mobs. The people have come out to deny. In fact, some photographers who were at the scenes where the shooting happened have come out to publish pictures, mostly on social media, indicating that these people were unarmed and indeed they were killed by police. Amnesty International is one of the immediate human rights organizations that has come out to condemn today's killings and said that police was indeed using live bullets and that should not be tolerated. They have called for investigations into the brutality and the killings that happened.